Hello, good morning. I hope you are all doing well. Welcome to my channel. This is G and W Nat. I am Nat. If you are a returning viewer, it's nice to see you return. If you are new, welcome. I hope you enjoy. Today I am going to do my third podcast. So this podcast is going to be similar to most other knitting podcasts. I'm going to start off with what I'm wearing, my finished objects, works in progress, and anything that I've acquired since the last podcast. If you would like to see my other podcasts, I have my first two podcasts on this channel, as well as a couple of project vlogs. So there are going to be chances that objects I talk about, especially the finished stuff, if I don't speak too in depth about them here, I will speak more in depth about them there. So shall we get started? This might be I'm not sure how long this episode's going to be, so grab your knitting stuff, grab a beverage of your choice, tea, coffee, something cold, it's summer, and let's get started. So let's get started with what I'm wearing. This is my Toilichte tank in fingering weight. I have a full project vlog dedicated to this and my next finished object, so feel free to go and watch that. It is on my channel. It's called Summer Knitting. So I knit this tank in one strand of knitting for olive cotton merino, and I knit it on 2.5mm needles in the colour mole. So one of the main things to know about this is when you're knitting up the tank, you actually do the armhole finishing at the same time, and at the end you come back and you pick up the neckline. The tank has a rib detail on both sides that runs the whole way down, and it has a really short bit of ribbing at the bottom for the hem. That wasn't a stylistic choice, that was just I ran out of yarn. So if you have seen my videos, either that project vlog or my last podcast, I spoke about how I only had a ball and maybe 2/3 of the cotton merino in this colour, so I knew I wasn't going to be able to make a full length top. However, this top is just that little bit on the short side, so in the trousers I'm wearing right now, absolutely fine, but in a lot of pairs of my trousers this would come untucked immediately. I think in the B-roll you might have been able to see that it's actually a bit wide lower down close to my waist. I think I did too many waist increases too quickly, and what I could maybe go back and do is pick up after the first increase, knit longer before increasing again, and then I could maybe save myself like a centimetre of yarn. I'm not really sure if it would work as well as that, but it would be worth a try. But I think that's all I have to say on this top. It's a little bit short, but honestly I think it is one of the best fitting tees I have made, or tank top, sorry, I have made. I do occasionally get it a little bit itchy here. I'm very sensitive on my chest, especially it seems to cotton merino. So maybe in general I'm a wee bit sensitive to wool at my chest, but I don't tend to have any other wool by my chest other than a cotton merino blend, which is 70% cotton and 30% merino, so there's not a large amount of wool in there at all. Let's look at our second object. So my second object was also mentioned in my summer knits project vlog, and it is this. So it's not very well, you'll not be able to see it very well from me holding it up, but it is my, there we go, that's probably the best you'll get from me for that. It is my Toilichte sports bra. I don't think I had anything else for it. Again, you knit the armhole shaping as you come down. You do have to stop at a point and come back and pick it up, so you put the stitches on hold, and it has the rib detail here as well. The biggest issue I have with this is it's fine when you've washed it. It kind of fits pretty well, but once you've washed it and worn it once or twice, because Drops Belle is a cotton linen viscose blend, it quite quickly gets baggy I would like to say. I think it's because it's a drapey yarn. Like, that wasn't something I thought too much into. I was more looking into an alternative that didn't have wool. As I say, a bit itchy when it comes here. So that was really the plan. As you'll see, I have to put elastic in it because otherwise it was gaping too much. And you do need a little bit of support for a sports bra, even if it is just for bed. Yeah, I really like the feeling of this. So I made this in Drops Belle Moss. It was left over from my loose cardigan. I mentioned my loose cardigan in a couple of videos. I think I mentioned it in my first podcast, I want to say. So if you want details on the loose cardigan, it's there. However, I had leftovers, and so I knit part of this and I went, I'm not going to have enough. I only had one ball. And so I had to order another ball. And I did manage to finish it, and I only have like a little bit left, so it did the job. It's good overall. I'll wear it. The good thing is I'm not wearing it out, so if it's baggy, it's not the end of the world. It's for bed. That's what it was made for. It was just made for a warm evening where I don't want to have a jammy top on. That does. So I think the last thing I have to say about this sports bra is that it is a racer back. So that's not the best way for me to hold it up, but it's really hard to hold this thing up and show you it properly without it all folding in on itself. As I say, it's a drapey yarn. My third finished item is this glorious... Oh, this is going to be really hard to show you my third finished object. But my third finished object is my Slèite zipper jumper. I knit this in West Yorkshire Spinners, the Croft, which is 100% Shetland wool, in the colour Norwich. I never ever remember. I never remember the colour. So this zipper jumper was self-drafted by me. I used 4mm needles for the most part, and it is in a 2x1 rib all over except for the cuffs and the hem, which are a 1x1 rib. It has a folded over collar, and I have added in a zipper. Again, this has its own project vlog. In fact, it has two, because it took me over a month to knit this, which honestly, fair enough. Yeah, if you want more details, they are on both of those vlogs. Go and feel free to watch them, honestly. It took me a long time to make, so I'll have lots of interesting things on there. One thing to note, which may have not gone in the project vlog, was at one point when I was doing the sleeves, I was doing my decreases, and I don't know what had happened, but in my head I had the row gauge was 9. It was not. I think this is a row gauge of 9. So I was really getting mixed up, having a couple of different self-drafted items on the go. And so in my head I was like, this isn't decreasing as fast as I want to. And actually I'm getting near the end of the arm and I've not done as many decreases as I had predicted I would need to. However, actually I think in the end is growing to be the right width. I don't think I would want any more decreases in this. I did want it somewhat baggy, so in reality I'm really happy with it. The only issue I would say that I've got with this yarn, it's not the comfiest, it's not itchy, but it's a little bit scratchy, I would say. But one issue I've got with this yarn, it's got quite a lot of pilling, and I would say this has only been finished for about maybe a fortnight. So to have this much pilling on the sleeves, I'm a wee bit disappointed. Granted, it's less than when I made, I can't remember the name of it, but I made a colour work sweater last year, and I made that with Cascade 220, and within the first wear I had to debobble. Like, under the sleeves were really really bobbly after the first wear. So I suppose with a fortnight's wear, where I have wore it almost every day, it's not that bad. I did have to change the way I decreased, because I decreased in a certain way. And then I realised that that was going to interfere with the way I was doing my ribbing. So I, in the end, changed my decrease style and it's worked out fine. I think it's only in one way for about 2 decreases before I changed to the different style. So one arm is completely fine and the other arm, it's only at like the armpit. So it's not an issue. Nobody's going to see it. Finally, actually, I have one more thing to add. I made pockets for this. I made pockets when I made my loose cardigan, but I know a jumper is going to get so much more wear out of it if it has a pocket. And especially for if I would like to take it to my work. Yeah, in my work, sometimes I'm constantly running around. So it's nice to know I have extra pockets to fit my phone in or fit pens or occasionally fidgets. It's just nice to know that I have a bit extra storage. I think they turned out really well. I Kitchener stitched them on in some places and I can't remember the name of the seamless stitch, but you go in between the knit stitches. So yeah, Kitchener stitched the top and the bottom, so they look a little bit different and you can see that they've come on. And then the side is pretty seamless because I used, I want to call it a mattress stitch, but I don't think that's a mattress stitch. If you know what I'm on about, please comment it down below so we can all figure it out because I don't know. I can't remember. So that is my Slèite zipper jumper and I am really proud of it. I think my biggest issue was in trying to knit the pockets. I knit the pockets wrong the first time and I would have had like that much space to put something in. It would have been terrible. Let's move on to our works in progress. I'm going to start with the longest term whip that you will have seen in my other project vlogs. This is my Florence Miller Forget Me Not jumper. I have knit this in different colours of Drops Daisy. I don't remember the colours by heart. I remember this blue is Cobalt Blue. I remember the yellow is Lemonade. Green might be Sage and maybe the grey is Pearl. It'll be down below regardless. I added in these little dots. These little dots aren't part of the pattern, but I had one really high contrast colour with 2 not very high contrast colours. So I felt it mixed it in a wee bit. It added that contrast in throughout the yoke rather than just it being some wee dots at the top and then the flowers at the bottom. Overall, I really enjoyed knitting the colour work section. I am a sucker for colour work, and I made this basically just because I wanted to do the colour work. I won't be wearing this. This is not my style of top. However, I am planning to give this to a family member and hopefully they really like it. If not, it's not the end of the world. But it means I've not knit it in my size. I've knit it in size C. I will say, however, the body is becoming a bit of a slog. So I have sort of reduced this to only knitting on it when I am editing because it gives my hands something to do. But it means I'm not knitting on it for too long. I don't know if it's the wool on the wooden needles, but it just doesn't feel like it's knitting quickly. Like, it feels like it's almost a bit sticky on the needles, and that is with me knitting this in a 4mm needle, but my other needle is 3.5, and the hope was that that would make it a little bit easier for me to knit, but I still feel, yeah, I think one of the issues is perhaps there's too many stitches on this cable, but I don't have a bigger cable to use unless I use a connector with it. And I feel sometimes the yarn then gets stuck at the connector, so I'm spending my time like moving it along, and yeah, it just feels like it isn't smooth almost then. But other than that, it's fine. I'm not even on Sleeve Island, I am stuck on Body Island. But the family member I am giving this to isn't particularly tall, so thankfully I don't have to worry about knitting an extra long torso or anything. The body will come along. It does look like it's a good portion of the way through. I just have to sit down and knit on it, but I'll maybe do that while I edit this video. Next, I'm going to do the one that I didn't enjoy next, so then I can talk about the one I enjoyed after. So my next work in progress is these. These are horrible. This is a handwritten pattern, but something I'm going to speak about in my acquisitions is about spinning yarn, and this I spun up yarn in a really chunky wool, and so the only thing I really had that I could make with the amount was mittens, and I thought these will be good for the winter. Yeah, but it just doesn't feel like the time to be knitting mittens, so I'll put it on. They look really small, but I have really small hands, so yeah, it does need blocked because, as you can see, it's not all very consistent, but that's because the yarn isn't consistent. I have thinner bits and thicker bits. Yeah, look at that, and look at this, how chunky that is. Yeah, not not the biggest vibe. That is made from Shetland wool. This is my second mitten. I have done the cuff and the start of my increases for the thumb gusset. It's currently on stitch holders because I took the cable. So this is on a decent sized cable because I'm doing magic loop with it. However, because I'm using bigger needles, I needed them for my next project. And once I finish the section I've done on that next project, I can bring them back to these. I am not in any rush, if I'm honest, to finish this. So yeah, I am making these more just to get the yarn out my stash rather than because it's something I want, which makes it a little bit harder and dead honestly almost put me in a slump. I am knitting these on a 6mm needle, I want to say. Yeah, it's not a long process, but it's a bit of a boring one, and I think that some of the yarn, so sorry about this, I've got a bit of an itchy bit here and it's gone red. Because some of the bits are thicker, I feel like I could have gone up a needle size, but it is what it is. As I say, I just want this out of my stash. I think when after I'd spun the yarn up, plied it, and hanged it up and measured how much I had, I think I had like, I want to say 86 meters, like it's that thick. That's for 100 grams. That is this. I will come back to speaking about the yarn at the end of the video, but for now, that is this. So the thing that brought me out of my slump was, I told myself I'd finished. I've just remembered that I had told myself that I would knit this last round and then I could put it on, I could put the sleeves on hold, but I forgot to do that, so will not be seeing it like that. However, let me show you what it looks like, and in the B-roll I can show you what it looks like when I have put the sleeves on hold. So this is a project that's inspired by blouse number 1. I was going to use blouse number 1, but I liked my gauge and I knew from knitting it twice that the neckline is a wee bit wide. Like the neckline usually comes to about here, and I'm not a biggest fan of seeing the whole of this area. It just feels a wee bit unnatural to me. So what I have knit up here, it's so this doesn't have a name because yeah, it's based on blouse number 1, but it is not following any of the pattern. It is just following the idea. So I have brought in the neckline. I have, for the first time ever, knitted a contiguous set-in construction. I will be honest with you and said that I really figured this bit out on vibes. I knew how many stitches I wanted my shoulders to be, and I knew how many stitches I wanted my body to be. And so I kind of worked out that to begin with, it would be best increasing every round to make this sleeve cap wider quickly. And then after that was increasing once every 2 rounds, and worked in when I would also need to increase for the body, thinking about in general, it's like a set-in sleeve doesn't really have that much increasing on the body until near the end. So that's how I kind of worked it out. I did have to do some math. It wasn't the easiest, but yeah, I also thought about when I wanted the sleeve cap to finish. Yeah, it was a big process. It did take a bit of time, but the rest of this has gone really smoothly, and it was so nice after having knit on my forget-me-not, where it feels like it was sticking, and then knitting on this 6mm mittens, which again, really sticky because it's Shetland wool at a big chunky weight. So I should state that I am knitting this in Drop Spell in the black colour. I don't know if it has a special name. We're going with black. And I knit it on 4mm needles, which is I think different than blouse number 1. And I had a 21 stitch gauge compared to, I think it was a 19 stitch gauge. So mine's is a wee bit denser, but honestly, I have tried it on and it's still lovely and drapey. Like, it works really well for this yarn. I feel like a 21 stitch gauge has become my thing for a Drop Spell, because that is the same as my Toilichte O-neck in the DK weight and my Toilichte sports bra. They are both in that yarn. So, yeah, this will have its own project vlog when it's finished. I will upload it then and you can get more details then. If you have any questions on it, let me know. I don't know if there's much more to say about it. Oh, I did do short rows. So the back comes up a wee bit more and the short rows go into the side, which means it does have a little bit of a swoop. So on to acquisitions. There has been a lot of acquisitions over, I think it's been about 4 weeks. The first acquisition I had was I bought a lot of Drop Spell. Sorry for the reflection, but I bought black, which was originally meant to be for like a cardigan hood. I had that idea in my head, but then the more I sort of like thought on it, I was like, I'm not entirely sure how I feel. And I don't know if Drop Spell would be the yarn for that. Maybe had I thought about it at the start of the summer, yeah, but I think with how far on we are now, by the time it would be finished, it'd be like September. Hence why I've made that blouse number 1 inspired. I also have this yarn. Now, I think it's called Plum Wine, and it's again Drop Spell. It's upside down. It's upside down. So I'm obviously loving my Drop Spell at the moment. This was meant to be for making something for my partner. It was going to be like a summer shirt. However, again, we are now almost in August. I think by the time this video goes up, which is tomorrow, it's August. So I don't feel I'll have the time to make it before the end of the summer. I'm also really wary about the sweater colours. I had a conversation with somebody the other week who said that they knit their ex blanket and then the next week they broke up with him. So I'm like, okay, if it's not just a sweater, I don't know if I want to make this yet. And my partner, third part, my partner never gave me a shirt to measure it off of, because I told him, I was like, if you want it, that's what you need to do. So I think that was his kind way of saying he wasn't that bothered and I'm going to listen to him. He has kind of said the whole time that he wasn't too bothered, but I had in my head I would quite like to make a men's shirt. We're now nearing the end of summer. Well, we're about to be August. By the time I've knit it, it would be the end of summer. So we'll give it a miss for the moment. We'll maybe come back to it next year. I can maybe make something else with a Drop Spell, either for him or for me. Yeah, because I quite like the colour of this. It's not a colour I would go for often. My sister, I feel like me and my sister are very jewel toned, and so she often goes for like this burgundy red, and I often go for like a royal blue. But that does mean, I suppose, we could swap around. And maybe I could have like a burgundy red thing. Maybe if this blouse number 1 thing goes well, I can make it in red. I have a habit of repeating what I make. I think I have like 7 balls and 8 balls. I think I've got like quite a large amount. So I'll probably have leftover drop spell at the end of that jumper. Next up is I've started a new hobby. About a fortnight ago, I went to a drop-in session on how to use a drop spindle. And there I got a drop spindle and a little starter kit which came with some wool. I also got told where to go and buy the wool. So I have the wool in here. So this is what the wool looks like. It feels a little close to my hair colour, but yes, it is Shetland wool, and I've done quite a lot with it. As I say, I made 100 grams of this wool, which is really chunky, and I can only grab 2 at the moment, but I've made 3 25 grams of singles with the hope of plying them together. I don't know if I want to ply them as a 3-ply or a 2-ply, but the biggest issue I had when I was spinning these on the drop spindle is if I wasn't careful, it would break. And as much as I enjoyed making the yarn and it was a really fun process, it was really infuriating when it was almost like there was too much weight and so it would snap. So I yesterday went and bought a spinning wheel. Now, I'm sure I can show you some b-roll of what the spinning wheel looks like. It is an Ashford traditional wheel. I bought it from a woman for about £200, which is relatively cheap. Most of the time, if you're buying spinning wheels, the traditional ones I was seeing were going for about £250 plus. But I had put a post up on my local guild's Facebook group, and she had said that she had it. So I travelled, I think it was like an hour and a bit to get to hers to see it, and I decided to buy it. It also came with carters and a niddy noddy and a wee bit of wool for practising on. I will be honest, I am still practising. I have got a wee bit of understanding how it works. It took me a while yesterday. It was a wee bit frustrating, I'm not gonna lie, but it's really beautiful. It's a little bit bigger than I hoped. I kind of hoped I was going to be able to hide it under the table, but it's about maybe that much bigger than the table, so maybe not. I think I could still put it to the side of the table. I just would be a wee bit worried in the winter. It's a bit close to the radiator. But yeah, I am really happy with the purchase. 200 is a really reasonable price. She had even said herself that she didn't want to put it up on Facebook Marketplace or eBay or anything like that because she knew that often these sort of things then get resold. And she wanted it to go to somebody who would actually take care of it. And it was really lovely. She was really nice. I am currently trying to make a spinning vlog. I would imagine that's probably next week's video that's going to come out. So you can see me failing and trying and failing and trying to figure out this spinning wheel. But it's all perseverance at the end of the day. I don't know what else to say about it. It'll take some time and it'll take some practice and we'll get there eventually. As I say, I've got that Shetland wool, so I can use that to practice on. I've already managed to make a little bit, but I can't figure out how to take the bobbin off, so I can't show you it right now. I think the one thing I do need to buy for it is a couple more bobbins, just so I can then ply it together, because I only was given one bobbin with it, which is the one that is on it, and that's absolutely fine, like £200. I can buy another bobbin or two. But I think that's all for today. I hope you've had a good time. I hope you've enjoyed listening to what I've been up to. Please let me know below what you've been up to. I am really curious to hear what you're working on. Are you working on some knitting, crocheting? Have you started a new hobby? Let me know. And if you have any tips about how to use the spinning wheel, please let me know. I am getting there, but I think it's going to take some time. Like, I understood how to use the treadle, but as soon as I'm actually spinning and trying to treadle at the same time, like, it's going a bit upside down from there. But I'm gonna love you and leave yous. I will see you in my next video. And as I say, remember to like, comment what you've been up to, and subscribe if you've enjoyed and you'd like to see more. And if you'd like to see more updates in real time, I do tend to put more stories on my Instagram, but I do occasionally also post actual pictures. So if that is what you're interested in and you'd like to see more of what I'm doing in real time, please follow me on Instagram, same username, @GNTaylorNat. I'll also have it in my description below. So, bye!